year in America that helped define pop culture and America itself. There was music like Mariah Carey, Boyz II Men, movies such as Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption, and The Lion King. TV, it was Friends, Simpsons, Seinfeld. However, the one thing that defined 1994 wasn't a television show, wasn't music, and it was not even a movie. It was a news event that everyone watched all over the world. And it was one trial that divided America and sparked the downfall of a football legend, aka the Juice. This is the trial of O.J. Simpson. On June 12, 1994, at around 10:15 p.m., Nicole Brown Simpson was murdered alongside her friend Ron Goldman. As we all know, Simpson was the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson, a football icon, broadcaster and actor who appeared in the movies such as The Towering Inferno and the Naked Gun movies. Simpson at the time was boarding a flight to Chicago and left around 11:45 p.m. Shortly in his hotel, he was informed about his ex-wife's death and returned the next day. That day, Simpson went into police questioning and was later charged for the murders of both victims. Evidence they found were a glove that was at Nicole's. There was one at Nicole's house, but the other one was at OJ's house. And also, they took DNA evidence and found that the blood on Nicole and Goldman's also belonged to OJ. And they found a 12-shoe footprint, which matches the size of OJ's. And as you see, those are the same type of shoes that he walked around with. And also, they basically found a cut on OJ's hand. And when he was asked that, he was like, I don't know. On June 17th, 1994, OJ was scheduled to surrender to the police. However, him and his friend from football, A.C. Cowlings, went on a flee as OJ was considered a fugitive, in which resulted in the infamous Bronco chase with 95 million people. Only 90 million watched the Super Bowl that year. Supposedly, he had a gun to his head in the passenger seat with a picture of Nicole by his side. He then went to his house and surrendered to the police later that night. OJ's defense team included lawyer Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, and Rob Kardashian. And yes, you know who his kids are.
Next one?
Yeah. Prosecuting team was Marcia Clark and Chris Darden. Oh, no. Yeah. Race is a huge part of this case, as this was like 2 years after the Rodney King situation. As the defense evidence states that Detective Mark Furman planted the evidence and have tapes of him saying more than 40 racial slurs in one setting. On January 24th, 1995, prosecutors gave their opening statements, and the next day, the defense gives their opening statement. Oh, it's defense. Yeah. Highlights of this trial include people on the stand such as Brian Cato Kalin, who was staying in OJ's guest house at the time. And he kind of got 15 minutes of fame out of this trial. And then prosecutors also pointed out about OJ being violent towards Nicole with domestic abuse, with 62 cases of domestic abuse, 8 911 calls, and only one arrest. The most famous part of this trial happened on June 15th, 1995, when OJ had to put on the gloves, and resulted in Johnny Cochran's quote, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." On October 3rd, 1995, the jury found O.J. Simpson not guilty for the two murders, with millions watching with mixed reactions. There are some people in the racial community cheering that their hero just was found not guilty. However, others thought the jury made a mistake. However, in 1997, Simpson was found responsible in the civil court for both the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman, and had to pay $33 million to their families. And then OJ actually promised to find the real killer. He was never found yet. Next slide. In 2007, O.J. published a book called If I Did It. In 2008, Simpson was found guilty for robbery and kidnapping in Las Vegas for trying to steal his memorabilia. He was sentenced to 33 years in prison. In 2017, he was released on parole. And today, he actually has a Twitter account. Next slide. In 2016, this was reimagined in the FX series of American Crime Story Season 1, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. It had Cuba Gooding Jr. as O.J. Simpson, John Travolta, Robert Shapiro, David Schwimmer as Rob Kardashian, and Courtney Vance, I think, as Johnny Cochran. This trial divided the nation and had a huge impact on the judicial system. It showed us how one person who could be so respected, just so admired, a football god, go down on his grave, metaphorically speaking, and be destroyed for this. And now he's known not just for his football career, he's now known as the guy who might have murdered his two people. And now, this shows how history can define an era in just one photo in a lifetime. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, he did it.